Hello everyone. As I'm sure you all know, I normally do not talk about the news. I talk about random ideas and concepts. Some days, however, I do decide to comment on a current occurrence. Today is one of those days. Today we will be looking at the Prime Minister of Slovenia, and a dumb moment that he had. The Prime Minister of Slovenia is an interesting fellow. He sounds fairly far right and apparently has quite the liking for Donald Trump. What I want to talk about today is his comments regarding the European Union and Hungary's homophobic behaviour. For anyone who doesn't know, Hungary has been passing increasingly anti-gay laws. First, it cracked down on gay adoption. Now it is following in the footsteps of Russia, going after gay propaganda, which is basically anything pro-gay rights that children may see. Basic moral values of acceptance have been abandoned in favour of bigotry and hatred. This has led to some conflict with the more liberal and gay-friendly nations of the European Union. Seeing an opportunity to say something dumb, Slovenia's Prime Minister had to give his take on this discourse. To paraphrase him, his argument is basically that the EU is not respecting other cultures and is trying to push imaginary European values onto people. This is a very interesting argument. He said more than that, and you can look into it if you like, but this is what we are addressing on this fine day. What issue shall we go for first? For starters, we have this claim that the West is pushing what he calls imaginary values. I have no idea what he even means by this. I am assuming this means one of two things. One, that the values are baseless and silly, or two, that the values are human invented. If he is arguing for point one, I would like to see a little more evidence to back that up. Acceptance and tolerance are far from baseless and silly ideas. If it is point two, then the response is simple. All values are in the sense that they are man-made, imaginary. All values are created by the human mind. They do, however, serve a real purpose in improving people's lives. Tolerance and acceptance are values that help rather than harm societies and are therefore worth preserving, regardless of whether or not they are man-made or imaginary, as he may call them. If we believe that an idea is invalid and imaginary if created by a human mind, I hope you are happy to say goodbye to all ideas. No morality, no religion, no goals, no politics, no ideals. They are, after all imaginary, assuming your definition of imaginary is an idea created by the human mind. All ideas are made up. This is irrelevant. Some ideas, such as tolerance and acceptance, offer a utility to human well-being, which is why we take them seriously and embrace them. The same can be said for countless other values, from democracy and justice to human rights. These things are made up, but this does not make them any less important. This addresses the first issue with the Slovenian Prime Minister's claim. The second issue with this is the mention of culture. I rarely dislike this whole "it is just their culture" attitude that gets thrown around by all manner of people. While understanding other cultures is useful, culture is no excuse. Culture is no excuse for stoning. Culture is no excuse for female genital mutilation. Culture is no excuse for murder. Culture is no excuse for slavery. Culture is no excuse for genocide. And culture is no excuse for homophobia or any other senseless bigotry. I do not care what your culture is. It is no excuse to take part in cruel and immoral systems that destroy lives. Mr. Prime Minister of Slovenia is making himself look like a very silly man here. Trying to defend his homophobic buddy Hungary, he has shown us the silliness of homophobic arguments. Homophobia has no place in any culture, and imaginary European values may be human creations, but they remain valid and useful regardless.